Okay, we are streaming live. You can start, Chris.
Great, thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Christopher Coretta. I'm chairing this evening's meeting, and I'm Associate Real Estate Broker living in the historic Grove Place Preservation District. I also sit on the Executive Committee for the Landmark Society of Western New York, as well as serve as a trustee on their board. We're meeting tonight under extraordinary circumstances due to state and local emergency orders requiring social distancing. We amended the Rochester Preservation Board bylaws to allow us to conduct this hearing as authorized by the governor's and mayor's emergency orders, and to waive other requirements in order to proceed with this online hearing. These waivers permit us to hold this hearing by teleconference with no in-person attendance, allow applicant presentations by teleconference, and require all public comments, both in favor of and opposed to the application, to be submitted in writing by email or hard copy document mailed to the zoning office or deposited in the secure drop box located in the link entrance to City Hall. All written public comments were all required to be submitted by 5 p.m. yesterday. Although this hearing's been altered for some of our normal procedures, many things remain the same. All the normal notifications for this hearing, including mailed notice, publication, and the posting of notice, were followed. All the normal timeframes for applicant presentations and comments in favor of and opposed to the application remain the same. And most importantly, this board will hear, review, and make decisions about all the applications with the same diligence and using the same standards as required by the zoning code. Before we begin, I'd like to remind everyone that when a case is called, the applicant will be allowed 15 minutes to present. And also remember that all board members have visited the site. The applications are posted on the city website and available for the public to review. All applicants were advised to ensure that their applications were complete and included all information that they intend to present at this hearing tonight. As the application is presented, staff will, as reasonably possible, show the pages of the application the applicant is addressing. Following our normal procedure, the board members may ask the applicant questions. If during the hearing the board determines that the substantial new evidence has been submitted by the applicant during the presentation or is given in response to questions by the board, the case will be adjourned to the next announced hearing date to allow the public to review that new evidence and to submit additional comments. After the applicant's presentation is completed, staff will read into the record any comments received after the comment deadline that are not already posted on the city website. There will be no call-in comments this evening. After all the comments have been read, the applicant will have 5 minutes to offer any testimony and rebuttal. The board will commence deliberations and voting after the public hearing of each agenda item, with the exception of any applications that are being adjourned. Please also note that if your case is approved today, a written decision will be mailed to you within 15 business days. The decision will inform you of the next steps to complete the approval process. Before we open the first case, please note that all board members are volunteers. I'd like each of the board members to confirm their presence for purposes of establishing a quorum for this hearing and to introduce themselves and mention their area of expertise. In alphabetical order, we'll start with Isaac Brocker, please.
Good evening. My name is Isaac Brocker. I'm an architect here in Rochester, and I'm a resident of the Browncroft Historic District.
Thank you, Isaac. Next will be Ed Kane.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ed Kane. I'm a resident of the East Avenue Preservation District.
Thank you, Ed. Next would be Kajana Crawford.
Kajana Crawford, professor, sociology, anthropology, and I live in the historical Susan B. Anthony Preservation District.
Thank you, Kajana. David Matthews.
Good evening. My name is David Matthews. I'm an architect and I live in the Highland Park neighborhood.
Thanks, David. And our co-chair, Kirsten Solberg.
Good evening, Kirsten Solberg. I'm an architect and I also live in the Browncroft neighborhood.
Thank you, Kirsten. Staff, Chris Snyder.
I'm Chris Snyder. I am the staff to the Rochester Preservation Board, and I work in the zoning office. And then to Tom.
Hello, I'm Tom Worth. I'm in the City Law Department.
All right. Thank you, members and staff. Mr. Snyder, would you call the first case when you're ready?
Certainly. And let me just bring up the
While you do that, Chris, we do have a caller. I don't know their number, so the person who's dialed in on their phone, could you please press *6 to unmute yourself and let us know your name and which case you're here for? So if
Good
you,
afternoon. This is Greg Gale, and I am with the 510 514 West Main Street.
thanks so much, Greg. I'm going to put you back on mute, and then we will hear from you at case 4. Thank you.
You're most welcome.
Thank you, Anna. The first case tonight, case 1, file A-001-21-22, is a case for a certificate of appropriateness for 101 South Plymouth Avenue, the Central Church of Christ, and the purpose is to remove and replace an existing slate and asphalt roof with new materials of a different design. Applicants are Minister Franklin D. Florence and Clark Bono. All board members present have visited the site.
Great. Thank you so much, Chris. I believe we have 3 people will be speaking tonight for this case. We have Minister Clark Bono, Minister Franklin Florence, and Lee Cowart. Is that correct?
They have not joined the meeting at present, no.
Okay. Have any of them joined yet,
No.
Anna?
No, no one from case 1 for
Okay.
case 1.
Tom and Chris and Tom, should we go to the second case or
Yeah,
come back to this?
I think that would be appropriate.
I'll move to
Okay.
the next case. Give me a second to scroll through this to get to the next case.
And Chris Coretta for case number 2, we have Robert and Lynn Thomas.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, so now I'm going to read case 2. We will come back to case 1. Case 2, file A-002-21-22 for certificate of appropriateness. The address is 642 Beach Avenue. The purpose is to review the previous removal of trees and to propose the placement of new plantings, including arborvitae plantings in the front yard of the single-family home. The applicants are Robert and Lynn Thomas. All board members have visited this site.
Great. Thank you, Chris. I'm going to swear Robert and Lynn Thomas in. Robert and Lynn Thomas, do you solemnly affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Yes, I do.
Great. Thank you very much. And we are ready for your presentation. Please keep in mind that all board members have visited the site, so we're pretty familiar with it, and we're ready.
Well, what I'm looking to do is to plant approximately 40 linear feet of whether it's arborvitae, Spartan juniper, or privet, and as illustrated in the exhibit labeled number 8.
Rob, if you wanted to tell me which page to turn to, I can do that.
Page 8.
Page 8, okay.
Please. Yep. Are you able to spin that?
Yes, give me just 1 second to do that.
So, I mean, it's a very basic drawing, but not scale. What I'm looking to do is plant where those triangles are. Whether it's, again, this is based on availability. The way things are today, it's just difficult to get, but I'm hoping either to do a privet hedge where the pine tree was removed, or Spartan juniper, and or arborvitaes. And it would be, my preference would be a privet hedge where the triangles are. It's approximately 40 linear feet. And where the X's are located by the road, preferably a small set of arborvitaes. planting a tree, again, either a dogwood, Cherokee Chief, or a select pear, as indicated by the circle with the star. Away from the power lines and away from the house. Unfortunately, the pine tree that grew way too large was threatening the home and power lines from the street to the house. And that's pretty much it.
Okay, thank you. We like short and sweet. And thank you for the presentation. We'll go around to board members. And if they have any questions, we'll start with Kirsten Solberg. Kirsten, do you have any questions for the applicant?
Thank you for the presentation. Just want to make sure I'm clear. Are you proposing the privet hedge and the where the X's and the triangles, or one or the other?
Well, Kristen, the triangles is my first preference would be the privet hedge.
Okay.
I'm hoping that, based on availability, I could get the amount I want.
Okay.
That's my first choice. Something low.
So you want to plant the entire thing as shown?
Yes.
Okay, just wanted to clarify.
At where the triangles are, correct.
Okay. That is my only question. Thank you.
Thanks, Kirsten. Next would be David Matthews. Any questions, David?
I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Okay. Next would be Kajana Crawford. Kajana, any questions for the applicant?
No, I have no questions. Thank you.
Okay. Next, I have no questions. It's pretty straightforward and clear. Ed Kane, any questions?
I have no questions. Pretty straightforward.
Thank you, sir. And last but not least, Isaac Brocker, any questions for the applicant?
No, I have no questions.
Okay, thank you. Back to Chris Snyder. Any public testimony or statements?
No additional public testimony. There was one letter of support that was included in the staff report package. All public comments were required to be received by yesterday. Excuse me, yesterday at 5 p.m. Written comments. All members of the public that wanted to sign up to speak during the hearing had to do so by noon today. We did not receive either comments for this case. So we will move into deliberations. During deliberations, members of the public and the applicant are not permitted to speak, and the board members will close in chambers and discuss the case and make a decision.
Great. Thanks, Chris. We'll start with Kirsten. Your thoughts on this?
I have no problems with what's proposed. I drove through the area and I think it's acceptable for what the neighbors are doing in the same area. I know you gave us several options, and I mean, I might have some aesthetic opinions on that, but I think all of them are completely acceptable, and I would turn that over to the owner to make the best decision. And as you said, I know things are limited in supply right now. So based on what's available, I would support this case.
Great. Thank you very much. Next would be David Matthews. David, your thoughts?
I agree with Karsten that it's pretty straightforward. The privet hedge, I think, provides some screening elements on the arborvitae. I don't know, just trying to establish like a boundary at the street, which kind of makes sense. So yeah, I don't really have any issues. I think that aesthetically, the more greenery and buffering from the street back to the house would be great. So again, with availability, we don't know exactly what we'll end up with, but this could be over time as well. So I'm in agreement with it.
Okay. Do you feel it's within our guidelines, our design guidelines?
Yeah, I think it generally agrees with the guidelines, the historic guidelines of the city for landscaping.
Great. Thanks, David. Kajana, your thoughts, please.
Okay, I have no questions. It's pretty straightforward. Thank you for your proposal.
Great. I would be next. I would fully support it the way it is. I think it's a nice, elegant design within our guidelines. I think it's very appropriate. It's a beautiful home, and a beautiful location, and I think this will add to that. Ed Kane, your thoughts, please.
I pretty much agree with everything that's been said.
Thank you. And Isaac Brocker.
Yeah, I agree with the other comments. My only thing that I would add to this is I would encourage the owner to not plant the pear tree, because I think that has been just what I've read is pear trees are an invasive species, just they've been overplanted and are not native to the area. So I would recommend one of the dogwood varieties that they have selected. But other than that, I think it is a proposal that I'm willing to support.
All right, great. Thank you, Isaac. Someone want to give me a motion? Isaac, do you want to give me a motion?
Sure. In case number 2, file number A002-21-22, for the certificate of appropriateness for 642 Beach Avenue to plant the plantings in the front yard of the single-family home as designed in the proposal,
As well as a previous removal of trees?
Oh, yeah, plus the previous removal of the trees. Do we want to give them just let all the species as listed in the proposal, or do we want to?
Yeah, I think it's saying as presented or as designed in the proposal is sufficient.
Okay, yeah, the plantings as listed in the proposal.
Do you want to add the condition about the pear tree?
I guess does anyone else agree with me on that, or do we want to?
I can go either way with it. Is fine personally.
Okay. Well, I'll just list all of the plantings would be acceptable with the exception of the Cleveland pear tree.
Second.
So a motion has been made by Isaac Brocker and properly seconded by, was it Kijana Crawford?
No, Kirsten,
I'm sorry. I'll start that over again. Motion has been properly made by Isaac Brocker and properly seconded by Kirsten Solberg. I will now read through all members and take a vote. We'll start with Kirsten Solberg. Do you vote yay or nay for this motion?
Yay.
Kirsten votes yay. David Matthews, do you vote yay or nay for this motion?
Yay.
David Matthews votes yay. Kijana Crawford?
yay.
Kijana Crawford votes yay. I'm next, Christopher Coretta. I vote yay for this motion. Ed Kane?
Yay.
Ed Kane votes yay for the motion. And Isaac Brocker?
Yay.
Isaac Brocker votes yay. It's a unanimous 6 votes. Thank you very much, and thank you for the presentation and for bringing this to the board.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Mr. Snyder, whenever you're ready, we're ready for the next case. And would it be case 3? Do we know if the applicants for case 1 are here yet?
They are not.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll move on to case 3. Case 3, file A-003-21-22 for certificate of appropriateness. At the address of 1567 East Avenue, the proposal is to remove an aluminum sliding glass patio door and aluminum windows in 4 window areas on the front and rear of this single-family townhouse, and to install new vinyl or fiberglass replacements. The applicant is Teresa Valdez. I believe she has her window consultants with her tonight as well. All board members have visited this site.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Just want to make sure, do we have Teresa Valdez with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, I'll swear you in, and I'll swear the other 2 people in as well. We'll start with Teresa. Do you, Teresa Valdez, solemnly affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. And is Mike Johnson here?
I don't think he is. I sent them the link, but I don't think he is. I apologize for that.
Oh, not a problem at all. There was someone else listed as perhaps Ripley, R-I-P-L-E-Y?
Yeah, he's the replacement for Ripley.
Okay.
So he's not here. I'm so sorry.
That's not a problem. So, excellent. We've all visited the site, Teresa, and we're ready for your presentation.
And Teresa, I just want to say, you can tell me to move to any page in the packet as you go through your testimony.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Snyder. Thank you everyone from the board and everyone at the City Hall that helped me with this process. So very short, and I'm not going to try to expand much. I purchased the unit back in 2017. I noticed that some windows were not in good shape. I have been trying to fix the windows as much as I can, to the point that right now I have water dripping inside in some areas. Other areas are very drafty, and I decided that the best way to protect the property was to replace the windows. So I worked with Rochester Colonial to look for materials that are as similar as possible to the ones that I have there. There are aluminum windows, and I presented 2 options. One is a vinyl, and I know that is not recommended by the board and everything that I read, but I would beg the board to consider that as an option. And the other option is Infinity from Marvin, and that is, my apologies, it is not vinyl, it is fiberglass, and that is more into the standard, but it is a very, and I know it doesn't matter much for the board, but it is a very expensive material for a 1-person home. In page 8, you can see that this is the back of the house, and if you visit the property, it has a fence. Those windows are the ones that I want to start by replacing. It is the patio door, and then the window A and B, one in the first floor, one in the second floor. And then if we go to page 19, you can see that these face the front entrance from the property, the townhouse, and that is the kitchen window. In both situations, none of them faces directly East Ave. They face the property, it's kind of in the back in between Colby and East Ave, so they both face that area. The materials that I selected respect the color, the design, everything, so that I hope it's not a problem. My plan is to replace these 4 windows back in 2021 this year, plus the patio door, and then move to the next ones in from the remaining of the house in 2022 and 2023. So this is the project. It's the beginning of the replacement of all the windows of the property to bring the same look, respect of the preservation district, and all the windows in the neighborhood. They are quite similar. Thank you so much.
Okay, well, thank you for the presentation. We'll go through the board members to see if they have any questions for you. We'll start with Isaac Brocker. Isaac, do you have any questions for the applicant?
No, I think this is pretty straightforward.
Great, thank you. Ed Kane, any questions for the applicant?
No, again, I think it's pretty straightforward.
Okay, I'm next. I would agree, pretty straightforward. Kajana Crawford.
No questions, straightforward, thank you.
Thank you, Kajana. David Matthews, any questions?
No questions, just thank you for putting together the application. It's very well done, easy to read and navigate. So we appreciate that.
Thanks, David. And Kirsten Solberg.
I don't think I have any questions either. Thank you for the presentation.
All right. We'll go back to Chris Snyder. If we have any public testimony or statements.
There were no public comments for this case either, other than the ones that were provided in the file itself from the, I believe it was the neighborhood association. So with that, we will move on to the deliberations. During deliberations, no members of the public or the applicant are permitted to speak, and the board goes into closed chambers to discuss and make a decision on the case.
All right, thank you, Chris. Let's start with Isaac. Isaac, your thoughts on this, please.
I first have maybe a general question on like how are we, since this isn't a typically historic property, how are we evaluating the windows? Since now I don't think they gave the exact date, but it said 1970s era, but 70s is now 50 years old, and 50 years old becomes historically relevant property. So do we allow vinyl in a newer property?
The standards still apply. They don't, the guidelines don't have an exception or a waiver that I'm aware of for properties that are less than 50 years old. And then the general standards about quality design and visual compatibility are still about how they fit in and relate to adjacent buildings, public places, and rights of way nearby.
And I would add to what Tom is saying in terms of, and maybe he already said this, but when we're looking at any property in the preservation district, whether it's a newer property that was recently constructed or something that's 100 years old, we're using the same standards, applying them for the situation of that building. So I think the criteria to look at here would be, the existing building, special considerations to materials, technology, craftsmanship. The board may find that something like a 100-year-old window would have different considerations than something that a window that was designed in the 70s. So I guess just take those sort of thoughts into consideration.
Okay, yeah, that was helpful clarification. I think the colors that they're proposing and the window patterns, it looks like they're replicating what is there existing with both options. I guess I would say from my perspective, I think the fiberglass option is a better, more quality replacement. But I'd also like to hear what everyone else thinks.
Hey, thanks, Isaac. Ed, what are your thoughts, please? Ed Kane?
I'm open to either style window. I'm just curious what the other board members feel about that. Again, it's a historic address, but there's nothing historic about the building.
The only thing I can say is, that it's adjacent to and abuts up against an older building. If you're done, Ed, I guess I could go. I'm next alphabetically. I think it's more appropriate really for the fiberglass. It would fit within our standards too. I think that's important. And as Isaac said, higher quality, which I think is important. Kajana, your thoughts?
And my thoughts are to go with the fiberglass too, and it'll be consistent with the rest of the house.
Thank you. Dave Matthews?
Yeah, I agree with my colleagues. The fiberglass unit is very well made, and it's going to last a lot longer than the vinyl one. I've never heard of this vinyl line not to say that there's anything specifically wrong with it, but I do know that the fiberglass line I've used many times, used in my own house. It's an excellent window. It operates very well, and it's going to last, for probably a lot longer than the vinyl. So I think it fits, like you said, the configurations match. I think it's appropriate for a kind of a replacement for the aluminum, and will be more energy efficient as well. So there's certainly some benefits to all of those considerations.
Thank you, David. And Kirsten, what are your thoughts, please?
I'm also in favor of the fiberglass. I also think that just the sight line and the profile is tighter and closer to the original. So I would support it.
Great. Well, Kirsten, would you like to give us a motion, please?
Sure. I would like to propose for case number 3 at 1567 East Avenue, the removal of aluminum sliding glass patio door and aluminum windows in 4 areas on the front and rear of the single-family townhome house, and to install new fiberglass replacement windows.
Second.
Okay, and just for the record, it's file number A-003. That's okay, to 003-21-22. So a motion was made by Kirsten Solberg and properly seconded by Kajana Crawford. I'll read down through all the board members for a vote. And we'll start with Isaac Brocker. Do you vote yay or nay for this motion, Isaac?
Yay.
Isaac Brocker votes yay. Ed Kane, yay or nay?
I vote yay.
Ed Kane votes yay for the motion. I'm next, Christopher Coretta. I vote yay for the motion. Kajana Crawford?
Yay.
Kajana Crawford votes yay for the motion. David Matthews?
Yay.
David Matthews votes yay for the motion. And Kirsten Solberg?
Yay.
Kirsten Solberg votes yay for the motion. That's 6 votes, unanimous. Thank you very much. We appreciate you coming to the board with this case. And Chris Snyder, when you get the next case ready, I'm assuming we're going to go to case 4 if case 1 is not here yet?
Correct.
That's
Case
correct.
1 is not here, so we will be going to case 4.
Okay.
Case 4 tonight is file A-004-21-22 for a certificate of appropriateness. The address is 510 to 514 West Main Street. And the purpose is to repair and replace the first floor commercial storefront of this mixed-use commercial building and to replace all windows on the building with aluminum clad wood windows and vinyl windows. The applicants are Gregory Gale and Roger B. Langer. All board members present have visited the site.
Great. Thank you very much. Just want to make sure, I believe Greg is here. He checked in earlier, but do we have Roger Langer here with us?
I am here as well.
Okay, I guess we'll start with you. I'll swear you in, Roger. Roger Langer, do you solemnly affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you, sir. And Cody Tompkins, are you here?
I'm not sure.
Is Cody Tompkins here? Do we know?
Yes. Cody, looks like I asked to unmute. Let's see. We're having like weird Zoom stuff going on.
No problem. Take your time.
Cody is not muted. I don't know if they.
It's so weird. I can't promote them, but it looks like they're unmuted. Cody, do you want to try speaking for us? Just.
How about Greg Gale? Is Greg with us?
Yes,
Still?
and it looks like Cody may have gotten where he
I am
needs-
here. Can you guys hear me clearly?
Yep.
Ken, is that Cody?
Greg.
That was Greg.
Oh, that was Greg. So we still can't get Cody through?
Hi, this is Cody. I'm here.
Oh, okay, great. Well, we'll go with Cody next. I'll swear you in, Cody. Do you, Cody Tompkins, solemnly affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you, sir. And Greg Gale, I know you're there. Greg Gale, do you solemnly affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I did.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
I just want to add right before we start with testimony, if anyone who is speaking on behalf of the team, the applicant team wants me to turn to any specific page, just speak it for the record and I'll turn to those pages.
All right, and the board is ready for your application, for your presentation.
This is Roger Langer from Greater Living Architecture. The property at 510, 514 West Main Street has found a developer that has stepped out on a limb to renovate a building that has been highly underutilized and fallen in disrepair. I give my client Greg Gale the highest props for taking on a project that many people have ignored for many years. Just brief explanation of what his plans are for the building. The front facade plans on replacing all the storefront with aluminum frame windows, and most of that will be disguised, hidden with wooden trim. And the idea is to provide as much storefront glazing as possible, and to repaint the entire storefront, the front facade of the entire building, with the goal of accentuating the first floor storefront and I'm just downplaying a little bit the upper floor levels by using a lighter gray, and also trying to conceal the fire escape as much as possible by painting that the same light colored gray, and then accentuating the head and sill of the windows on the upper levels with a dark gray, as well as the cornice. The colors chosen for the storefront area are similar to the light poles that are out on West Main Street in that area. The window replacements on the upper level of the front facade is proposed to be a wood frame window with aluminum on the exterior, and the goal there is the existing windows are a mixture of previously replaced wood windows that are of very poor quality, and there are also some existing vinyl windows on the front facade. So he wants to replace all of those with wood frame windows with aluminum cladding. The accents on the building would be the terracotta highlights, and he proposes to paint those in gold, again, to match the accents on the light poles on the street. The sides and back of the building, the window replacements, he's proposing to put in a vinyl window of the same extremely similar color to the front facade, so that none of those windows are really visible from any distance except from Clark Alley. Some of the back windows are. Otherwise, it's probably 500 feet from the building when you see those windows. The back exterior of the building plans on cladding with aluminum siding, something that's non-combustible, light in nature, and provides kind of an accent for the back of the building. Clark Alley, unfortunately, has become a little rough at evenings. Greg has found that people defecate and urinate in that back alley on his property, steal some things as well. So that's the reason for providing a security gate in the back for the tenants and the proposed new tenant portion of the building in the back. That's about all I have to say.
Okay. Would anyone else like to say anything from your group? Cody or Greg?
Yeah, actually, Cody, would you like to go?
I'm all set. Thanks, Greg.
Yeah, Roger pretty much covered everything. I just really wanted to express my appreciation for even this process, giving us the opportunity to go forward and restore this gem and make a positive impact on the Susan B. Anthony neighborhood and the West Main Street Business District in general. So I just really want to take this time to thank all the board members and certainly my team for as far as we've come to even get this together. And I just wanted to make sure I noted.
Great, thank you very much, and thank you for doing this. This is a great project. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
So we'll start with questions from board members, and we'll start with Kirsten. Kirsten, any questions?
Oh, first of all, thank you for taking on this project. I'm excited to see how it turns out. I have a question that maybe should have been addressed in our preliminary meeting. So maybe a question for Chris or the applicant. But the request is for a storefront and the replacement of the windows. This package has canopies, it has signage, it has doors, it has railings. What are we approving?
So it's the entire package.
It's the entire package.
Yeah, it's the entire package. This was not meant, I see the way that I wrote that makes it seem like this only
So I was looking at it from just a window perspective.
I mean, something like painting or repointing would not typically be reviewed by the board.
Well, it's more that we don't have signage information, and that's part of the package. We don't have railing information. That's part of the package.
Yeah, so anything that's not included as part of this package, such as signage, which I was not aware was part of the package either.
Well, it's how far does the package go? Because it's all listed on the architectural drawings.
Or are you talking about like the building sign, like the number signs, like windows?
Building signage written, and this might be a phased proposal, but I just want to make sure we're clear on what we're approving.
Yeah, the gates in the back.
Yeah.
They're really, I didn't really see any cut sheets either.
So sorry, not to complicate things. I just want to make sure that we're looking at the appropriate.
No, that's a good point.
Things. So I guess I should question. Okay. I guess my first question would be then. I guess I have a few then. I'll just list them out and I'll let the applicant talk about them. One, as I'm sure you've heard, we're not a big fan of vinyl windows. So would you consider an alternative window for the rear of the building would be my first question. Second, can you describe the railings that are going to be used throughout the project? I think the doors are described as historically appropriate, and I'm wondering what more specifically what that means, or maybe I missed it in the package. Yeah, and then my third is just to address signage that's listed in the project.
This is Roger from Greater Living Architecture. Yes, the owner would be willing to entertain a substitute window.
Okay.
Obviously, you don't like to hear it, but the economy is extremely difficult at this point. These units are not going to bring in the high end of rent. This is not Park Ave. This is not many other locations. So obviously there's budget constraints. That's the reason for choosing these vinyl windows. They are not highly visible. Hoping to use something less expensive, still operable, still in the same color as the front windows. That's the reason for the choice of the vinyl. Railings, I believe we're talking about metal railings that would give some similar appearance, although it may not be attractive, along the lines of a fire escape, something code compliant, obviously 4 inches on center, probably talking a 1-inch metal spindle, and of course a code compliant 42-inch high guardrail. So something trying to be as innocuous as possible, not drawing attention to the railing as an architectural element against the side of the building. Doors, I believe we were talking about wood doors on the front of the building with panels, replicating the original doors as closely as possible. Signage, similar to the property to the east would be signage perpendicular to the face of the building, so it's visible from both sides as you drive down West Main Street. And I believe we call the size of those signs out, be a metal bracket holding those that's attached to the building. There are existing or were existing signs very similar to those. At least at some point during the building, there are photos of those signs.
Can I ask, so you said a wood door for the front, and I see that there's steel doors in the package. Would that be the rear of the building?
Those would be rear doors, yes.
Okay. And then the rear of the building, you said aluminum siding,
Correct.
and there's nothing in the package that describes that, correct?
Cody, can you speak to that one?
I believe I had a cut sheet of the siding. I don't remember the manufacturer that was picked out.
Could you refer us to the page it's on?
Is it page 36, Cody?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, it's called out as metal span. I think it's closer to page 40.
Oh, 41? Or is that with the window?
I think that's with the window.
Okay.
I'm looking at the wrong package.
I don't want to get hung up on if other people have questions that they want to go
No,
through.
no, I think it's important. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's the page I thought it was, Cody, so I don't know if you have a page you can direct us to.
Chris, do you have the condensed version of our application? I believe it's page 42.
This is what we have on page 42.
Okay, yeah. Definitely not it.
So you have I just want to clarify something. You have the packet that was mailed. And are you saying the 42 on that page is different than this one?
Yeah. Yep. Got it opened up right now. And as I'm going through this, I neglected to talk about the light fixtures mounted to the front of the building. And
I gotta interrupt here. It looks like the application, I'm looking at page 4, is just about the street facade and new windows and doors.
Mhm.
And it looks like everything else is interior. So that may be why that's all that's addressed in the staff report. So I wanted to see if we could get on the same page about what the board is actually considering tonight and what other things have really yet to be proposed. They might be some cut sheets or things about them, but they're not mentioned in the application cover sheet.
Yeah, page 5 and 6 are pretty well described, the intent of the renovations of the entire building, particularly the facade, all the exterior work.
Okay, so you're seeking approval for all the things that are mentioned on pages 5 and 6?
Correct.
Oh, I see. Okay. No. It appears that there was some, and I don't know how this happened, but it appears that there's an error in the compiling of this package that was put online when I'm looking at my physical packet to the one that we're looking at here. And I don't know if others are seeing that. If you look at page 5, it's different than that's posted here, which is just about the window, patio, and door replacement. Or I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong package. I apologize, everyone. I'm all turned around here. Give me 2 seconds to orient myself again. I was looking at that and it was confusing me because I was just seeing windows. I went too far back. Okay, so pages 5 and 6.
I mean, the dilemma I have here is someone in the public looking at the staff report is being told that all that is being considered in this application is repairing and replacing the first floor commercial storefront and replacing all windows on the building. I mean, that's what is described in the staff report is what is being considered here. I think, to be fair, it probably would be best to just decide on those issues here and hold over to another session when it can be properly described in the staff report what else is under consideration.
At that point too, Tom, I believe there are missing pieces to those other portions, such as the specs on railing, signage, lighting.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree with you.
Okay. So we'll keep our questions to those items that are just on the staff report.
That are, that are described in the first page of staff report, yes.
Okay, thank you. Kirsten, did you have any other questions that you wanted to redirect with that in mind?
If we're focusing on storefront and windows, I'm fine. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Dave Matthews, any questions on the items on the staff report?
No, not on those. I would, just as a recommendation though, for signage, we'd need a lot more information on what type of sign, and not just pointing to kind of it in profile. So just as a suggestion that coming back, you should provide more information if you want the signs to be looked at in detail. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, David. Tijana Crawford, any questions?
Okay, no questions. As long as we are talking about the first floor commercial storefront, mixed-use commercial building, and to replace all windows on the building with aluminum chip-clad wood windows, I'm fine.
Okay, great. I would be next. Actually, the only question I had really pertained to the material of the back windows being vinyl. Kirsten already asked. Thank you for that. And Ed Kane, any questions?
Nope, I applaud them for taking on the project and looking forward to seeing more information.
Great. And Isaac Brocker, questions for the applicant?
No, all my questions have already been answered. Thank you.
Okay. And we'll go back to Chris Snyder. Any public testimony statements to be read?
There were no comments from members of the public, and we do not have any letters that were sent in from the public either, which were due by 5 p.m. yesterday. Public comment sign up to speak in hearing was noon today. Didn't receive either of those, so we are ready to go to deliberations. During deliberations, the board will discuss the case and vote, and it is closed to the public or applicants. Tom, just to confirm with you for deliberations, we're only focusing on the windows and the storefront, correct?
Yeah, I think maybe out of courtesy to the applicants, since they're gonna have to come back, if there are comments about additional info you want on the other things, I think we could do that too. You know, just so that they know when they come back, things they're looking for.
Okay, ready to deliberate? Excellent. We'll start with Kirsten. Your thoughts, please.
I would support the request. My understanding is that the windows are not original, so replacing them in profile similar to what they are is fine. I think that the aluminum clad wood windows presented are fine. I think to be consistent, we can't approve vinyl in the rear. And I think that the storefront is completely appropriate, and I approve of the elevations. Other than that, if it comes back, what's already been said, railing, signage, the rear material, information on the wood door, or just a better, maybe just a better drawing so you can understand the look of it. Anything that's described in page 5 or 6, even their site work information, if there's a site plan that's helps us understand what's going on there, just so we have the full picture. Thank you.
Thank you. Dave Matthews, your thoughts, please.
Yeah, I agree with Kirsten that you know, the replacement of the storefronts is appropriate and matches our guidelines along with the upper windows. I think I already said about the signage, just need more detail and look at the guidelines, historic preservation guidelines for signage closely, just to make sure you know, whatever being proposed is in line with those. And the south elevation that's colored on page 8 gives a lot of information. I think if we could get that same information on the north, east, and west elevations, it would be helpful in providing some cut sheets on the metal and anything else, any other materials. And I'm in agreement with you know, an alternate to the vinyl windows as well. So otherwise, yeah, it looks good. I appreciate all the work and effort and expense that's going into this project. Thank you.
Thanks, David. Kijana, what are your thoughts, please?
Okay, I appreciate all of the work that's going into the project and also the money. I have nothing further to add, piggybacking on what my colleagues have said. That is to replace all windows on the building with aluminum clad wood windows. Anything else needs to be delayed.
Okay, thank you, Kajana. I would agree with all my colleagues as well, 100%. I appreciate the project very much. Thank you for doing it. My only concern is the windows in the back, and we're happy to look at anything else that you'd like to do or change at another time. Ed Kane?
I too agree with what's already been said.
Thank you very much. Isaac Brocker?
I also agree with all the previous comments, and I have nothing further to add.
Okay. Dave Matthews, would you like to give me a motion?
Sure, and I just want to clarify that the upper windows as proposed are aluminum clad wood windows. The sides and rear windows are proposed as vinyl windows. My proposal will include an approved alternate to the vinyl windows, not necessarily requiring the aluminum clad wood windows. Would my colleagues agree with that?
Yes.
What kind would you propose? Like, is there a certain thing you have in mind, or material other than
similar to what we approved in the past of fiberglass or composite, any non-vinyl option that is appropriate in profile and proportions, materials, color.
Okay.
Okay.
Just for the sides and rear. So the consistency would be of the ones at the front, and then the sides and rear would have to be a higher quality material, but not something higher quality than vinyl. Is that what you're getting at?
That's what I'm going to propose. I just want to make sure everybody's on board with that, or if you're not, then can vote otherwise, I guess. Okay. So for case number 4, file A-004-21-22 for a certificate of appropriateness at 510 through 514 West Main Street to repair and replace first floor commercial storefront of this mixed use commercial building and to replace all windows on the building with aluminum clad wood windows, with the caveat that the side elevations and rear elevations can have replacements with appropriate window materials other than vinyl windows, such as fiberglass or a alternate composite window. I make the motion that we approve as noted.
Second.
Thank you. Motion has been properly made by David Matthews and properly seconded by Kirsten Solberg. I'll now call out a vote alphabetically, and we'll start with Kirsten Solberg. Do you vote yay or nay for this motion, Kirsten?
Yay.
Kirsten Solberg votes yay. David Matthews, yay or nay?
Yeah.
David Matthews votes yay for this motion. Kajana Crawford.
Yay.
Kajana Crawford votes yay for the motion. I'm next, Christopher Coretta. I vote yay for the motion. Ed Kane.
Yay.
Ed Kane. And, oops, excuse me. And Isaac Brocker.
Yay.
Isaac Brocker votes yay. That's a unanimous 6. Thank you very much for the presentation. And we'll go back to Chris Snyder. Have the applicants come in yet for case 1?
They have not.
So,
go ahead. What were you going to say?
So this leaves you all with options. You could decide that you have enough information to make a decision, Or you could decide that you want to hold it over to allow the applicant to present and answer your questions.
We vote on it, Tom?
Maybe it's best to talk among yourselves and see which way people are inclined, and then, but yes, that you would vote to either hold it over or
Okay.
to make a decision.
Let's start with, we'll go back, we'll start with Kirsten. Do you think we have enough information, Kirsten? Well, I was going to ask everyone that question.
Yeah,
so.
no. I think we have enough information. I think it's one of the more difficult conversations that we were going to have tonight, but I hate to use our time twice on the case, you know, if it's here and people are willing to do it, I'll talk about it.
Okay. Dave Matthews, what are your thoughts?
I'm willing to talk about it. Tom, I have a question. Or Chris, would the applicant be able to read our deliberations if we went through them? And if we had requests or constructive criticism or whatever, would they be able to take that into consideration for the next round?
I think for like a whole, like if you were to hold it over, but you wanted to comment on it and provide information that might be beneficial to the applicant for the next hearing. It is something we could do, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so I guess that's a third option.
Yeah, we could do that.
There's decide on the merits, you know, yay or nay, hold over without any comments, or hold over with comments that we put in a hold letter like we've done in other cases.
I feel like if we're going to deliberate, we need to vote. You know, why use our time twice to
Right.
I agree. I agree.
Sure.
Okay. Isaac?
Yeah, I agree. If we're going to talk about it, I would think we might as well vote.
Okay.
Vote on which one? On the merits of the application, or on that you'll just hold it over and let them come back?
Oh, I was thinking on the merits of the application.
Okay.
So basically, we'll take what's not on the project information sheet and vote on that. Is that what we're?
What on the project information sheet? I lost you there.
The staff report. So we're gonna vote on the items that are not on the staff report. Is that correct? Is that what we're saying?
Well, I'm having trouble. I thought I understood Isaac to say, and Carson to say, like, we want to proceed and, you know, after deliberations, vote on what is presented in the staff report.
Right.
I
did.
I would just recommend if you have outstanding questions for the applicant, it may be wiser to wait and just hold it over to the next hearing. I am a little confused with what you're saying, not to the merits, like not vote on. Are you saying to vote which way you want to go with this in terms of voting now or voting on the application now, holding it over, providing comments? Is that what you're saying when you're saying voting, Chris?
Well, I guess I'm confused too. I'm sorry. So we've got the staff report, which includes the windows and the storefront. We voted on that already.
Yep.
There are other items that aren't in the staff report that I think that.
Wait. I thought we were talking about. I'm sorry. I thought we were talking about the South Plymouth Avenue.
Right.
Oh my God. I'm so sorry. I'm one that's confused. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I thought. I'm so sorry, guys. Let's start over.
It's okay. Take your time.
So.
But maybe I'm ahead of everyone and we're not really on Plymouth yet.
Yes, we are on.
No, we are.
Okay.
I'm behind.
Okay.
I apologize. I'm sorry.
I think we're deciding if we deliberate, we want to vote. Otherwise, we
Right.
hold it.
Gotcha.
Right.
Gotcha.
Correct.
I guess how many questions are out there for, do other people have significant questions that we want to hold it?
Gotcha. Does anyone have significant questions?
And they find a composite slate that matches a diamond pattern.
Okay.
Only in Germany, it says.
Well, the
Yeah.
Anybody else have any, anyone else have any other questions for the applicant? Kajana, would you?
No, I have no other questions.
Isaac, would you have any other questions?
Well, I was just hoping that there was going to be there would be some more synthetic slate options that were closer to what was there before.
That was I guess that was my. Yeah. But
We do know from the carriage house that came through a few months ago, there are hexagonal composite tiles out there.
Yeah.
So maybe we just hold it and tell them to find them.
They'll hear our comments as you asked, so.
Yeah, I mean, they won't just hear, I mean, we could put in the hold letter, list them as well.
Does everyone feel
If
the
you're
same
so
about
inclined
that?
to convey that to them, you know.
Could I take a poll on what's important to everybody? Is it the shape and the distinctive pattern of the tile, or is it the slate material itself?
Well, we're asking them to find both, aren't we?
I guess it's just you could go either way, I guess. And we've had this argument many times, right? Yeah. So.
But what they're not offering is a hexagonal composite.
Yeah.
And they do exist
I mean,
based on what
and they're not offering slate.
Right.
Right.
Well, I guess from my standpoint, if they found a hexagonal composite and matched the pattern, I would vote yay for the distinctive pattern. But there's a number of roofs that don't have that pattern. So would we want that distinctive pattern across all roofs, or, it becomes kind of difficult in there, or is it just the main roof? And is there options in there?
I'd be interested to know if they have historic photos that document what was once there.
Yeah.
You're talking about what the applicant noted in the application as the original roof, or best to their knowledge, the original roof from like the early 1800s, correct? Where you have the tiles that come together making diamond patterns.
I was responding to page 11 specifically, I think, because it's very unique. But did that exist on all roofs at one time? It's hard to know.
I think isn't one of the side, like on page 9, isn't that the asphalt shingled side? So that really, they've lost the pattern on that side of the church. So, I mean, I would think that what we're seeing on 11 was the original slate pattern.
Route.
Actually, what you're seeing, Isaac, on page 9, if you refer back to page 8, if you're pointing at number 1, that's actually a square gray slate, which is a later, according to the applicant's testimony here, was a later design change. And I had trouble when I went to the roof myself and discerning what that was, because the profile of the slate was much different than typical historic slate, in my opinion.
I heard Isaac referring to page 11, right?
Well, no, I was saying 11 was what I thought was the original pattern, but yeah, I guess Chris pointed out that I just didn't see that note.
The page 9 is circa 1900, so that replaced the original roof. Isaac, I thought what you were saying is, do we have any documentation to show that the entire roof was at one point patterned? I'm pretty sure it was. I would guess it was.
Yeah, I would guess it was as well.
But I mean, you could ask them to confirm or
Or even if we can't confirm, would we want to see it like that?
I think it's distinctive enough. If you lose it, it's a pretty big loss, right? You don't see that very often.
Right.
Even if it was just on the main roof, just to retain a little bit of that character, it's pretty important.
Being the south facing.
Well, the main roof of the
nave, or what's that part?
on Plymouth.
Yeah. So both sides of that.
So Dave, are you saying if you were just to maintain this existing, you're saying maybe the main area of the church, maintaining it as that design, if nothing else?
That could be
Both sides.
That could be a proposal, and the other roofs could, just go to a square patio. There could be many options in here, but
yeah,
I'd like to see that pattern retained in some aspect, and if it was on one side of the larger roof, then it would make sense to be on the other one, but the other roofs don't necessarily have to match that, because we don't know specifically, right? So I think there's probably a few options in that could be considered and proposed. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, I say that given that there are options to be considered and proposed, I'd like to see the applicants in person to address those options.
Yes, I agree.
I think that makes sense.
So can Chris relay our thoughts on what we just, now that we have deliberated?
Yeah, like, do you want them to address an option that has hexagonal composite replacement? Like, is that one you want them to?
I think it would be really helpful to do a roof plan so that we understand what they're proposing where. Because even if I'm looking at Google Earth right now, and you can see where the pattern currently exists and where it doesn't. And
yeah, I mean, what they are proposing is uniform treatment of the roof on all parts of it of the three different material options, with the rectangular patterns that they present.
And then I guess to go on, just to encapsulate the conversation here, the board's reaction to this application is to do a roof plan and explore other design options in terms of material, types of and shapes of material that are available, and roof variations.
I think that we're looking for a composite hexagon that they can use for patterning.
There is a roof plan on page 44, but it doesn't.
Oh, is there?
It doesn't have any patterns on it. It's just, I think, showing the different roof planes.
Yeah.
Actually, 40 through 44 all show some semblance of a roof.
Yeah. Yeah, so just key it into what they're proposing.
Okay.
If you're all kind of satisfied with those comments, and if Chris thinks he's got them squared enough away to write a whole letter about them.
I'll be reviewing this recording again tomorrow. That's for sure.
And maybe we could make a motion to hold and convey the comments.
Okay, who'd like to make a motion? Kirsten,
Since I'm not
Sure.
here all the time, I'll make it. For case one, file A-001-21-22 for a certificate of appropriateness at the address 101 South Plymouth Avenue to remove and replace an existing slate roof and asphalt roof with new shingles of a different design. I would like to make the motion to hold and convey the comments of the deliberation to the applicant for consideration.
Second.
a motion has been properly made by David Matthews and properly seconded by Kirsten Solberg. We will start with Isaac Brocker. Isaac, do you vote yea or nay for that motion?
Yay.
Isaac Brocker is yea. Ed Kane?
Yay.
Ed Kane votes yea for the motion. I'm next, Christopher Coretta. I vote yea for the motion. Kajana Crawford?
Yay.
Kajana Crawford votes yea for the motion. David Matthews?
Yay.
David Matthews votes yea for the motion. And Kirsten Solberg?
Yay.
Kirsten Solberg votes yea for the motion. That's a unanimous 6 votes. Thank you.
Okay. And just one last comment for the public record. This is the end of the hearing. For anyone in the public watching, this is the last virtual hearing that will be held. The next hearing will be in person at City Hall Council Chambers in City Hall at 30 Church Street, City of Rochester, New York. And it is scheduled for August 4th, 2021. Any questions or comments should be submitted to preservationboard@cityofrochester.gov. Thank you, everyone. Kajana, thank you very much for your service.